He thought they had the perfect marriage. 10 years together, 2 beautiful kids, a home filled with laughter. But slowly, things started to change. She became distant. Her smiles didn't quite reach her eyes anymore. When he asked what was wrong, she would just sigh and say, "I'm just tired, that's all. My heart is tired." He tried everything to reignite the spark. He planned date nights, took on more of the chores, and gave her space when she asked for it. He believed her. He believed that this was just a phase, a rough patch that every long-term couple goes through. He told himself that her tired heart just needed time to rest, and it would eventually find its way back to him. He was a patient man. He'd always been the steady rock in their relationship, the one who believed in weathering storms together, so he waited. He'd come home from a long day at work, and the house would be quiet. The kids would be with a sitter, and she'd be out with friends. At first it was once a week, then twice. Soon, he was spending most evenings alone, eating dinner in front of the TV, the silence of their big house deafening. He'd text her, "Hope you're having fun, love you," and would receive a simple THX hours later. The warmth was gone, replaced by a chilling indifference. He started to notice other small things. She was more protective of her phone, always keeping it face down. She changed her passwords, claiming it was for security reasons. One day he saw a new charge on their shared credit card statement. It was for a fancy hotel in a nearby city, a place they had never been to together. When he confronted her, she had a ready-made excuse. "Oh, that was for a work conference. I told you about it, don't you remember?" "You didn't remember?" He searched his memory, but there was no recollection of her ever mentioning a conference. A cold knot of dread began to form in his stomach. He wanted to believe her, he really did. But the pieces of the puzzle were starting to form a picture he didn't want to see. His friends noticed the change in him. He was losing weight, dark circles permanently etched under his eyes. They tried to talk to him, gently suggesting that maybe something more was going on. But he defended her, making excuses for her absence and her behavior. He was in denial, clinging to the hope that his wife, the woman he had vowed to love forever, wasn't betraying him. The breaking point came on their anniversary. He had planned a special surprise, booked a table at the restaurant where he had proposed, bought her a beautiful necklace she had been admiring for months, and even arranged for his parents to watch the kids overnight. He came home early, excited to surprise her. But the house was empty. A simple note was left on the kitchen counter. It read, "Something came up with my sister. We'll be late. Don't wait up." His heart sank. He called her sister, his hand trembling. Her sister sounded confused. "No, she's not with me. I haven't spoken to her all day. Is everything okay?" In that moment, the world he had so carefully built came crashing down around him. The denial shattered, and the painful truth hit him with the force of a physical blow. He knew what he had to do. The hotel charge from the credit card statement flashed in his mind. With a heavy heart and a sense of grim determination, he got in his car and drove. The 40-minute drive felt like an eternity. Every love song on the radio felt like a personal insult. He replayed the last few months in his head. Every excuse, every lie, every cold shoulder. How could he have been so blind? He arrived at the hotel, his stomach churning with a mixture of anger and heartbreak. He walked into the lobby, his mind racing. What would he say? What would he do? He just needed to see it for himself. He needed the final undeniable proof to silence the hopeful voice in his head that was still trying to make excuses for her. He went to the front desk, his voice barely a whisper, and described his wife. The receptionist gave him a sympathetic look and confirmed she was a guest. He then went to the hotel bar, hoping to gather his thoughts before facing her. That's when he saw her. She was sitting at a corner table, laughing, her face illuminated with a joy he hadn't seen in years. She wasn't alone. Across from her sat a man, and he was holding her hand. It wasn't a friendly gesture. It was intimate, familiar. The man leaned in and whispered something in her ear, and she tilted her head back and laughed, a sound that used to be reserved just for him. He watched, frozen in place, as the man leaned in further and kissed her. It wasn't a quick peck. It was a long, passionate kiss filled with a desire that had been absent from his own marriage for so long. The world went silent. All he could hear was the frantic pounding of his own heart. Her words echoed in his mind. "My heart is tired." He finally understood. Her heart wasn't tired. It had just found a new home. It was energized, alive, and beating for someone else. He stood there for what felt like an eternity, an invisible ghost watching the death of his marriage. He saw the way she looked at this other man with adoration and excitement. It was the same way she used to look at him years ago. The pain was excruciating, a physical ache that spread from his chest throughout his entire body. He wanted to scream, to run in there and confront them, to flip the table over, but he didn't. Some part of him knew it was pointless. The battle was already lost. He turned and walked away. The image of them kissing burned into his memory. He drove home in a daze, the anniversary necklace heavy in his pocket. He walked into their silent house, the house they had built together, and the memories assaulted him from every corner. Her laugh in the hallway, the spot on the sofa where she'd curl up to read, the smell of her perfume lingering in their bedroom. It was all a lie. The foundation of his life had been a lie. He sat down on the edge of their bed and finally let himself cry. He cried for the man he used to be, the happy husband who trusted his wife completely. He cried for his children, whose world was about to be torn apart, and he cried for the future he had lost. The next morning when she came home, she found him sitting at the kitchen table, his bags packed by the door. He didn't yell, didn't scream, simply looked at her, his eyes empty of the love that had once filled them. He placed the hotel receipt and the necklace on the table. "Your heart isn't tired," he said, his voice flat and devoid of emotion. "It just belongs to someone else now." He didn't need to say more. The look on her face, the flicker of guilt followed by a cold resignation, told him everything. There were no apologies, no desperate pleas. The silence between them was the final confirmation. He picked up his bags, walked out the door, and didn't look back. The road ahead would be difficult, but for the first time in a long time, he felt a strange sense of clarity. He was heartbroken, but he was no longer blind. He was finally free from the lies, ready to start picking up the pieces and build a new life for himself and his children, a life based on truth.